Welcome back to the Sunday Sports Buzz presented by Sam Swope. Our number 964-2121, the Goomer and Company Buzz line. If you like our TV show, make sure you listen to our radio show on 1450 AM, the new WQKC, the Sports Buzz. We got a lineup with Dan Patrick, Johnny the Freak Renshaw. We got our show with Afternoon Sports Buzz from 5 to 6. We got a Wildcat Lodge show Mondays and Wednesdays at 6, and then Cardinal Connection Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6. So we're getting a lot more local programming on the new 1450, the Sports Buzz. And we got a lot of callers right now. Terry, you're up.
Yes. I would like to know, why does ESPN dislike the Big East so much? They had to dish them out on national TV this evening when they were talking about the SEC.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, I'm not going to really crush ESPN for criticizing Big East football too much. I mean, Louisville, and we were going to talk a little bit about it. Louisville, 5-2 in the conference. Big win at South Florida, John, at Kentucky, at West Virginia. They win this year. Bridgewater looks great, a true freshman developing, and Charlie Strong wins these big games. But they're 7-5, 5-2, and to me they're like Ben Curtis when he won the British Open, and he finished early, and then he's in the clubhouse with the lead, and then the weather comes in, and all the other golfers just start falling to the wayside because Louisville's in the clubhouse hoping that everybody just keeps dropping like flies. And maybe they get the BCS bid, but it is a weak Big East this year.
And Pittsburgh dropped like a fly the other night against West Virginia. If Cincinnati can get knocked off by Connecticut, all of a sudden, here's Charlie Strong in his second year in a BCS game, probably against Virginia Tech in the Orange Bowl. So that would be unbelievable.
Absolutely. I want to ask you before I get to Will, give us a call, because are you as excited about a 7-5 Orange Bowl as you would be an 11-1 Orange Bowl?
That's a good question. I think you are you're probably not as excited just because of the record, but that team was expected to do some great things in the Big East. This team was picked in the lower part of the Big East Conference. I'm more excited.
Are you really?
I'm more excited this year to see this Louisville team have an opportunity this late in the year to go to a BCS
I think it's a pleasant surprise, but I don't think fans are really just fired up about it because they realize, you know what, it's not like dominating. We're kind of sneaking in, but it's still good. We'll take it. Let's go to Will. You're up.
How you doing, gentlemen?
Hey, what's going on?
As far as the University of Louisville is concerned with football, it was a bridge year for most people's expectations. For them to actually be projected to be to the bottom, to be at the top is amazing to me. Concerning I know you're going to respond on that, but concerning the basketball, I don't really know what to think. I mean, we have not even had a full deck yet, so until we do, I really don't know what's going to happen. I know where it'll be eligible middle of December, but my expectations right now are pretty low. I've seen the team play, and I think defensively they can hold their own, but I mean, at this point, they don't have the numbers. So,
that's a good point, Will has. They don't have everybody available right now, so they're playing with the short-handed. And the thing is, they don't seem to be able to score enough. And if you're playing Kentucky in an up and down fast-paced game, are you going to be able to score to keep up with them? The three-point shooting is not as consistent. They need everybody. I mean, they need every one of these parts.
But the Big East is not the Big East of last year. You got to keep that in mind. There's a little bit, I don't want to say down, it's less great than it was last year. Syracuse is awful good. Pittsburgh's awful good. Connecticut lost to Central Florida. Notre Dame is down. They lost their best player for the year. Now, with Mike Merritt gone for the year, Stephen Van Treese, you don't know yet how long he's out. That's going to hurt. Like I said earlier, Greg, you need everybody you can have, and you got to play with passion. But they're still the seventh-ranked team in the country coming in. You kind of forget that since you watched that Ohio University game Friday night.
And see, they're going to play great defense, so it's going to look uglier than maybe it actually is. So let's go to Pimp Daddy. My man is back. PD, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, man? Hey, I heard some talk that the Sugar Bowl actually has like the last pick of all the BCS games. Is there any chance that we can get the New Orleans Bowl? And to me, I think it's exciting. I'm going to be there for New Year's Eve in New Orleans. I'd rather be in New Orleans than actually in the Orange Bowl.
Did you catch that, John?
Not sure.
We're having trouble with our audio in here. If you guys can turn that up back there, we'd appreciate it. So Peter, you had a good point about the Sugar and Orange Bowl I think he was talking about. But we might have to move on to our next caller. If we could have Big Rick up, whenever you have him up there. Big Rick. This might be Patino. He might have called in about, he might have heard about what we
Well,
said.
the other point was, when you lost to Florida Atlantic and Marshall at home, did you ever dream you'd have a shot at BCS? And I think this last week, this fan base has gotten, I'll disagree with you a little bit, gotten very excited
You know,
about
I
this team.
felt it a little more when a group of people were watching West Virginia and Pittsburgh, and they were rooting for West
Oh, sure,
Virginia. You
sure.
had an energy rooting for West Virginia to beat
You don't
Pittsburgh.
see that very often.
So exactly. So I think it's building. You're right. I just didn't know if it was quite the same enthusiasm as you would have if you were set 11-1, as far as 7-5.
I don't know, when
maybe
Cardinal
squeaking
fans
in.
are pulling for the Mountaineers, there's some energy.
All right. Hey, Rick, you're up. Rick.
Yeah, I was just going to give I love the show, big Cat fan, but just going to throw it out there a little bit. We had a big win over Tennessee this week,
Yes.
and we're coming up on the Cats, and I'm wondering about how much HJB is going to be upset when the Cats run the score by dove on y'all.
Well, I tell you what, now he brings up just UK basketball, and let's talk a little bit about UK basketball, because they win last night pretty handily over Portland. Gilchrist with an unbelievable athletic dunk. I mean, they're high flying, they're jamming at the rim. Last night they only had 4 turnovers, John. I mean, played a little bit crisper game. UNC coming to town. Here's that dunk by Gilchrist, which just is emphatic. UNC coming to town. They lose last night.
Yeah.
So they're not invincible. I've said all along, I thought Kentucky should be ranked number 1. I've thought that, and I think they're going to win next week in Rupp Arena. What say you?
Well, they'll be ranked number 1 because Carolina lost last night to a very good Vegas team. But what Kentucky has to do to have a chance to beat this Carolina team is play good transition defense. North Carolina is the fastest team from one end to the other, from defense to offense in the country. We saw it last night. Vegas did a great job of getting back. And Vegas big men were not intimidated by Hansen and Zeller and all those other big guys, McAdoo, all the big guys that Carolina has inside. They took it right at them, and that allowed them to get some fouls on North Carolina, kick it back out for some threes. Vegas, if you watch that film, it was a perfect game plan against North Carolina. They ran when they had it, they set it up when they didn't have it, and they got back on defense. And I think that's the key to beat North Carolina. But you got to remember, these Tar Heels stayed in school. They lost to Kentucky in the Elite Eight last year. They want this, or in the in the Elite Eight, they want this rematch.
Yeah, I think Kentucky, though, that place is going to be insane. And North Carolina has big guys underneath. That's the one part of Kentucky's game that you think a team can take advantage of with Kentucky's. If you can pound it underneath, they got length. They never seem, maybe it's the powder blue jerseys, they don't seem very tough. And that might be where Kentucky has a little bit of that intensity level on them. But I expect a Kentucky victory. We want to hear from you. 964-2121, give us your predictions. Kentucky hosting North Carolina next Saturday. We're talking U of L football, Louisville basketball, Louisville football, Kentucky basketball right here. This is the Sunday Sports Buzz presented by Sam Swope.